Alright, here is another Handbook. This is the Avengers 2005 one, and it has a much better cover than the Avengers 2004 one, but that isn't to say it has a good cover. This is Wallace Gromit artwork, so it's automatically better than Sally LaRue's absolute garbage. But I still didn't feel this is a good cover. I do not think that it has been laid out very well. Yeah, I've got some empty space. Yeah, I've got Giant Girl, pretty much obscured by Wolfman. You have the Avengers logo at the bottom, chopping off some of Spider-Man's chin. Plus, come to think of it, yeah, only 2 characters on this cover receive actual profiles. The rest are only mentioned as part of a team. I will not explain what the Handbooks are to newcomers. I consider them pretty self-explanatory. What I will explain is between the last Avengers one and this one, there have been about a dozen other Handbooks, and there was some rejiggering going on. And so the profiles are now much longer and more in-depth. We open with the Avengers, and it is a decently thorough profile, going from the start to where we were at then. Complaint is that there are no images, and in fact, the only pictures they do show are redundant. They just show images of the then current Michael Bryan Benson team when that was already shown on the first page. It is, however, an improvement in terms of information and going over the histories. And another improvement is this time Darth Knight gets a profile. And since he was not in the last one where the profiles were brief, now we get a 3-page profile for him, which is more than Captain America and Iron Man got last time. Again, a redundant picture. They still didn't quite know what to do with the insets like this. They could have used it to depict his classic costume, or him out of costume, or maybe his sword's ability to cut through anything. But instead they just have a random picture of him in the same costume as the main picture, except this time he is with some Avengers, and it is drawn by Jorge Perez. We also start getting bad guys, profiles for the Avengers' big bads, and I think they have got the top 4 in here, so that's good. This is Neferon, and then after him we have a single page profile for the character Kurt Busey refers to as the annoying Christian. There is a fixation on using Jorge Perez art every chance they get, even when by 2005, that was quite a while ago. Over here is the Great Lakes Avengers. I realise now these Handbook videos aren't great, because I have so much to say on all these characters, but I didn't really have the time without it becoming a fucking 50-minute long video. Jim Reaper reusing the art from the original Andy books. The profiles that do that are usually the ones with the best pictures of the characters. You see, Marky Mark G, he adds a system and rules about what art done for the profiles should look like. The characters should be facing forward. They shouldn't be in mid-action or in a pose that obscures key parts of their figure. The Andy books were originally many things. They were a resource for fans, but they were also a resource for creators. It's no good having a bad picture where you cannot see what the bottom half of a character looks like or whatever. We also see some more repurposed art here. Fembot, that is straight from her profile in the Ad Andy books. And to make my point, here is a bad picture of Major Victory from the New Warriors. I didn't even need to discuss how his pose isn't ideal, or how one of his hands is cropped off. I just need to let you know that he hadn't worn this costume since 1998. And after that, there's some really hard art. From the cover of Avengers 167. Weird that they overlooked all his appearances in Kurt Busey's run and his appearances in Young Avengers, which surely would have yielded a more up-to-date picture. He has not worn a cape since the early 90s. In fact, I am flabbergasted they didn't crop this picture. It's exactly what I was thinking of. This is from Young Avengers. I didn't think it makes a better profile image, but it seems oddly inconsistent of these Andy books not to have used that. Next, we have Flaming Lightning and Willow. I would talk about Flaming Lightning and how I kind of feel sorry for this character being forgotten about. But there is some interesting stuff going on with this awful cunt's profile. First, Willow is actually listed among her aliases. If you didn't know, her creator, who is obsessed with her, Crazy Steve Engeltine, he left Marvel in the 70s, but he was so besotted with his shit character, he took her to DC and had her in the Justice League, calling herself Willow. And I have never seen an Andy book bend over backwards so much to fucking incorporate a crazy man's bullshit. They actually mention her adventures at DC involving a league of justice-serving heroes. Mental. Absolutely mental. They didn't count Slayerman's first appearance in that Atlas Seaboard comic. They didn't count that blue-skinned seaman that was in a comic before Timely existed. Why are they enabling this insane man's terribleness? Let's wash all that crazy out of our mouths with Captain Marbles, the real one, Monica Rambeau. Very popular among my viewers. But if you want me to talk about her again, then I am going to disappoint you to instead rant about this inexcusable picture. I think this is unacceptable. It is such a low quality image. Maybe you cannot pick it up much on the video, so I will get in as close as I can without it going out of focus. Although it looks like it has gone out of focus, because the image itself is a bit out of focus. Super low quality picture. That's not to even mention that the height of the picture doesn't even match the border. Unacceptable. Speaking of crimes against the black man, remember when Kurt Busey retired Roddy Rhodes because the 90s are shit? To punctuate that, here is two absolutely appalling characters, and then a third for measure. A few things bother me here. First, the picture is just reused from the one on the Avengers profile. Height of laziness. Are you honestly saying that there were no other pictures of Spider-Girl or the Avengers to use? Secondly, they have massively inflated her history for the main reason of having her seem more important and more relevant than the better Spider-Girl, who gets another exceptionally low quality scan picture with one of her legs missing. If an artist used this as a reference, they might think she is an amputee. Then we have 2 pages for Shade the Changing Man, and after him 2 more boners. Only introduced that year, Michael Bryan Benson's new headquarters gets a full page because superheroes living in a mansion is too corny. And here is Kurt Busey's character he belovedly refers to as the Token. After him, we have got a long profile on Ultron before we finish on a very short entry on the Young Avengers. You can definitely see some improvements have gone into the revived Andy books here, but they are still making a lot of mistakes and bad choices. It is a very slow progress, but we do eventually get somewhere good with these. And some of that stuff is here. The more detailed profiles. The power grids are more thought out in here. And we are going back and doing characters we missed the first time, instead of repeating another profile for Captain America or Iron Man. It is an Andy book, so I says 7 thumb ups.